Let's begin by talking about the uses of forms. If I click Forms in the list of objects, we're going to explore some of the types of forms that are available to you. The main use of forms is for data entry. If I double-click to open up the customer's form, the customer's form is a great example of a data entry form. This is a form that allows us to add, modify, and delete records within our table. And as I said, this is the most common use of forms. Another use of forms is to navigate about your application. This type of a form is commonly referred to as a switchboard. Here's an example of a switchboard form. If I double-click Main Switchboard, you can see that this form allows me to navigate to the different parts of my application. For example, I can quickly and easily go to the Suppliers form from the Main Switchboard. The Suppliers form is a data entry form. I can also go, for example, to the Orders form. So once again, you can see that a switchboard allows us to control the application flow. The next type of form that you can create in Access is a custom dialog box. An example of a custom dialog box is the Sales by Year dialog. If I double-click to open up the Sales by Year dialog, this particular form is not bound to any data within my application or within my database. Instead, it's responsible only for accepting criteria for running a report. When I click OK, notice it says, to use this form, you must preview or print the Sales by Year report from the database window or design view. So this form actually can't be opened on its own. I'm going to close the form and show you that if I were to go over to Reports and I were to run the Sales by Year report, it automatically launches that form, which prompts me for the criteria, and when I click OK, that report runs. So this is an example of the implementation of a custom dialog. The last use of a form is for printing information. You may actually have a form within your database that you have no intent to even use for data entry possibly, and instead you want to simply use it as a source for printing. This could be any form. If I double-click the product list form, maybe the purpose of this form is, as I said, simply to print. And in fact, if I go to Print Preview, you can see this is what this form would look like if it were to be sent to the printer. Now this could also be, as I mentioned, a data entry form as well. So some of these forms can be used for more than one purpose. Don't think you're limited to the 4 types of forms that we just explored. The types of forms that you can create are limited only to your imagination. Let's take a look at the anatomy of a form so you can understand what makes up a form. I'm going to go into the Customer's form in Design View. This form, notice, has 3 sections. It has a form header, a detail section, and it has a form footer. Right now, nothing's within the form footer, and in fact, the form footer is collapsed. If I want to add something to the form footer, I place my mouse pointer right here and click and drag downward, and you can see that the form footer now appears. I can select a section of my form by clicking to select that section, and if I view properties, I'm actually viewing properties for that particular section. So if I were to do something such as change the font or background color, I would be changing it for that particular section. I can select any section in my form. You might wonder, how exactly did we get the form header and footer? Well, I'm going to close the customer's form without saving changes to it, and I'm going to create a brand new form in Design View. When you create a form in Design View, it only contains the detail section. To add form header and footer, you simply use the View menu to view form header footer. And now you can see the form header and form footer, and you can add things to any section of the form that you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and close this form, indicating no, I don't want to save changes to it.